We have an enterprise scheme in schools which gives young people £25, teams of young people £25 to actually start their own business. This year we had over 1,500 young people take place. We had 320 teams, and combined amongst themselves in 1 year, and maybe you need to go learn off them, they made 525% profit on that initial investment that we gave them. They were brilliant at marketing, they were brilliant at ideas, they were brilliant at actually selling. I got so many t-shirts, mugs, combs and things from those young people, but they absolutely really do understand the entrepreneurial spirit. And as leader of the council, particularly in the present economic climate, I'm very clear, and I made it very clear to the city, and the city is rising and challenging, that our next phase in Sheffield, building on our proud history, is to actually see growth in the private sector. And I will do everything I can to support that and ensure that the council empowers those who wish to risk their money and create jobs in this city, get a fair deal, and that we do become the most business-friendly city in the country. And therefore I'm absolutely delighted to have the National Enterprise Academy and somebody of Peter's standing to actually back that, to say that Sheffield is open for business and we are a city that really welcomes entrepreneurs like Peter, and we want to make sure that they can inspire through colleges like the National Enterprise Academy to achieve those great goals. So with no further ado, I'll now hand over not to Paul Jones, but to Peter Jones.
Well, Paul, thank you very much. Can I just say, I love Sheffield. I have only spent the last hour here. The last time I came here was about 14 years ago. And just driving here is an amazing experience. I feel like I've entered some sort of oasis, and it's actually not Sheffield, because being here 14 years ago, as those of you that have been here that length of time will realise what a difference, particularly over that period of time. But it's a transformation, there's no question. So thank you for allowing me to come to Sheffield, and thank you for such great words, particularly as well from Heather, because this is a real big moment. And as much as I think that, actually, being press here, everybody has bigged up the fact that the National Enterprise Academy and Peter Jones brings it to Sheffield, I'm going to be very brutally honest and say that actually it was as much driven by the passion and determination of Heather and the team and Sheffield, and particularly Sheffield City College, that has enabled us to be here today. Because without that, we wouldn't have had that feeling that, you know what, we're going to work with people that are going to be as passionate and as seriously focused on delivering what we believe we have. I would love to see our curriculum in schools, in primary schools. Let's get in at the real ground roots at the start, and let's build and boldly build enterprise and radiate it and support it throughout every school in Britain. So in 5 years' time when we look back, our 5-year-old little Johnny is learning about what's it like to buy a piece of clothes from Mr. Green at Topshop. I'm going to leave it there because I've said enough. I would like to introduce something that's very important, and we're going to do an unveiling, and I'm so proud that he's here and taking the time out to unveil the Academy. But before we do that, can I announce and bring up Vince Cable, please?
Well, thank you, Peter. I've got a dual function. I think the first is formally to the MADE Entrepreneur Festival, and it's to share with Peter the opening of the Enterprise Academy. And I'll underline what Peter said, that this is not a political occasion. I was warmly encouraged to come here by Paul as the council leader and my colleague Nick Clay, the Deputy Prime Minister, but David Ronke gave me a personal call and said this is a very important event, please be here, you're very welcome in Sheffield. So I come here in that envelope of goodwill. We want to make the tax environment friendly for entrepreneurs. Chancellor's budget, you remember we had changes in capital gains tax, but there's very generous provision for entrepreneurs within that system. If people are starting a small company and growing it, they're going to get a tax incentive on their first 10 employees. We want to have genuinely competitive rates of corporation tax for those who do get to the incorporation stage. And we want to make sure that if you do get launched as a business, you can get access to money from the banks. You know, every business group tells me has horror stories about the cost and difficulty of getting bank finance, and the government's giving very high priority to trying to get that sorted. So that's all I want to say about the policy side. It's really just a pleasure to me to open this event, and particularly to thank Peter Jones. I think this is his third academy, and it's part of a wider programme of National Skills Academy. We've had, I think, 12 in the 5 years since this has been operating. It is a great initiative by the private sector. This is actually private companies funding and driving this programme, and it's leaving a legacy of very effective and indeed rapidly growing institutions around the country, and this National Enterprise Academy will be one of them. Thank you very much.